Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard, the best television show not on TV. We got a slight schedule today, man. Just 3 games here. We got the Packers at the Giants. Big shout out to Carl Banks, man. That interview that he just did with Rakim and Ed Lover, man, that was amazing. Come on, son. That was definitely really dope to see that. And I think that Rakim probably got the only jacket in the whole entire Giants community that might be doper than the Super Bowl jacket that I got. But big shout out to Carl Banks, man. That's great content, bridging the gap between hip-hop and football. We also got the Eagles headed to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys and Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott round 2. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I know Dak is looking forward to trying to get some revenge there. You got the Commanders on a bye, and they absolutely need it right now. Since week 3, they've lost 9 of their last 11 games. They're on a 4-game losing streak right now. I know the Beard's not happy about that one. And tonight we got a matchup between 2 juggernauts. The Patriots are going to be taking on the Steelers. 2 of the worst offenses in the league. We saw that when the New York Giants took on the Patriots just a couple weeks back. So this one shouldn't be, a barn burner or a boat race, as the Beard likes to say. But without further ado, man, let me bring in the best co-host in the country, my brother from another mother, the strong side to the left side duo, the thrift master out here one time. The Beard is in the building. What's poppin', fam?
Man, when you just had to throw those Washington numbers out there, I thought we were going to slide right by Washington.
I don't know if it's necessarily shots, if it's, just facts.
It's not shots. No, they're not shots. It's shots of truth is what it is.
Shots of truth.
It's a little bit of truth serum to the jugular.
Most definitely.
No, it's definitely a well-needed bye week. It's gonna be a rough end of the season here. Obviously, I'm gonna always hold on to hope that we can pull out some miracles, especially in the last week of the season against those heavily favored Dallas Cowboys. And
so you're not tank walk on water. That's not the vibes. You want to see some W's from Washington.
Listen, man. I am a competitor. I watch a game sometimes. It's like I'm on the sideline. You know what I'm saying?
We used to live together, bro.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So for me, I cannot watch. I physically just can't not watch a game and be not lose my head,
I was there before this year, man. When we started going backup quarterback after backup quarterback, torn ACLs and all that stuff, I was definitely reeled out. And right now, I'm kind of like that myself. I mean, this game should be a pretty interesting one with the Giants taking on the Packers because they're 2 teams that are kind of in that, I guess you could say, in the hunt, but not really in the hunt. Whoever loses that game is probably going to be very close to
Packers are the last spot in the playoffs right now, right?
Nah, are they? They got 5 wins or something like that,
they're
right?
They're 6-6. I think they're currently the 7th seed in the playoffs.
That's interesting. I would bet all my money that they're not going to be in the playoffs when all is said and done.
I they're playing pretty hot right now.
Yeah, they got that big win against the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I don't know how much, how real that was or how fraudulent it was, but, Packers I definitely think are a team that's in struggle mode, and they do have the 7th spot right now. The Rams are trying to push for that. The NFC is in struggle mode just across the board, man. Rams, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Saints, and then the New York Giants, Bears, Commanders sitting at 4-9. Yeah, man, I'm not that invested. I'll keep it real with you, and it's a challenge to put together good content for 2 terrible teams. It's been a challenge for me, man. I don't know about for you, but when I'm looking for ways for my team to win and things we can look forward to as a franchise right now, it's looking bad right now. And the New York Giants named Tommy DeVito the starter. I told y'all if Tommy DeVito got named the starter, that's going to let you know that the New York Giants are definitely in tank mode. So I think that's the case right now. People are saying go with the hot hand. I guess Tommy DeVito's the hot hand right now. QBR is 14.9.
This is hot right now. It's all over the place. It's on T-shirts and hats.
A little too much risk, man. A little too much risk going on, man. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta have some flow to it, man. It's
you're not gonna see me doing that, man. You're just not two hand. What is that? Tommy DeVito doesn't even have a name for that thing.
It's the Gabagool.
No, it doesn't have a name. He even said it.
It reminds me of Coach Chandler. In basketball, you gotta pronate.
It's a flip. That's why I said it's a little too much risk, man. You know what I'm saying?
But thank God for all the Dallas Cowboys fans in the chat. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. Shout out to everybody in the chat. on here.
Look at
obviously,
the beard. He's a changed man now. He's like all giving Cowboys fans props, trying to show up to the show with flowers and be in y'all good graces and whatnot right now. You know it's phony. Y'all know it's phony, right?
No.
Wait till we circle back and we come back for the 2024 season. This whole energy is going to change, It's going to change.
I don't know. I think I learned my lesson this year, 100%. I'll tell you the crazy thing is there's a couple of games. So I was filling out my sheet for the pool, right? And I'm like, man, there's a couple of games that I'm just like really like sketchy on. Like I think it's Vegas and Minnesota, and then Jacksonville, Cleveland, because I just like the backup quarterback situation.
Yeah, no Trevor Lawrence is going to hurt them. Big time.
And so then I'm like, I get down to it, and I'm like, Philadelphia, Dallas. What am I going to do? Because in these pools, like it's super competitive. You cannot lose. Like most weeks, you cannot lose more than 2-3 games.
Now you was telling me about your record in the pool. What is it again? How
I
many
got
times
100.
have you won?
I have 120. I think it's 123.
I love these kind of answers. When you ask somebody like, "Hey, what time you gonna show up?" They be like, "Man, I gotta hit the store
because
first.
After
I hit the store, then I gotta go get gas." And it's like, bro, what time are you gonna show up?
I told you 124 because I at that point I thought Jacksonville was a shoo-in to win that game against Cincinnati. But they lost, so I have 123 wins on the season.
Okay, now let's circle back to the real question now. How many times have you won that pool weekly?
0.
All right, that's where we need
But
to go.
listen, you know Muhammad, he has the most wins. He's picked 127 games correctly since week 1, right?
Yeah.
He's won 0 times.
I
think he might have won this last week, maybe.
Because in our fantasy, he's been completely dominating.
Don't even talk to me about fantasy. I was like just stumbling through my lineups tonight, making sure I didn't have anybody going in tonight's game, and I'm in the hunt for 2 playoff spots, and I start looking. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. What are the odds of being in 5 fantasy football leagues and being the team that has had the most points scored against you in all 5 leagues?
Yeah. Yeah, you're struggling, bro. You're definitely
this is not the 2023 season that the Beard was looking at in his crystal ball.
Yeah,
in the
for the sake of the parlay, it's better off we don't say we don't tell nobody that record in that one league. It's bad. It's the worst record I've ever seen in the league. I think. I mean, you're Nate level right now. And if anybody in the chat that knows
I am on a 1-game winning streak, though.
He's really bad in fantasy football. There goes my thing doing that thing again, man. I don't know what that is, man. My setup been doing that lately. It could be an update on Luna or something, but that's the second time when we were off air. It did that yesterday or
that's the
last
fantasy
week.
Football gods right there telling you.
Yeah, they're like, please spare the beard one time.
But
I bet I got some kind of incompatibility or something on one of these joints, man. We're gonna find out though, because that shit is crazy. Every time it pops up, it scares the dog shit out of me.
What happened at the end of last show when we were off air, it was really crazy because we were talking and we were both like looking at each other through the cameras and on the computer, and like your lips weren't moving nothing. And
I said one word and I stopped, and I'm looking at the screen and it's just like, come on. I was like, yo, what the hell? What kind of robotic shit is going on right now, man?
Big shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody who's watching us across all the platforms. That's Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and of course right here on the YouTubes. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. We appreciate all the love and all the support. The Dallas Cowboys fans are deep in the chat already. They want to know what the Beard's picking. So stick around, ladies and gentlemen.
I know what the Beard's picking. I know the Beard all too well. I'm going to try to lean him in, try to convince him, to switch his thoughts. But I know where he's thinking. But let's start with the New York Giants, man. We got the Packers. We're welcoming the Packers to MetLife.
Giants are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
All right, man. I don't know how much I'm, looking forward to this game one time. Make sure y'all check me out on Bleacher Report, too. On Tuesday, I'll be doing a recap of this Green Bay Packers game as well. The Packers are coming in at 6-6. New York Giants are 4-8 right now. Kickoff is Monday night. I don't know how this game didn't get moved out of that Monday night position. 8:15 p.m. on ESPN. The opening line had the Packers favored by 6.5. The last meeting, I know Giants fans don't forget about this one. We beat the Packers 27-23 last season in London, man. That was a big game for Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley went out of the lineup for a little bit. Daniel Jones shined on them drives, man. Definitely got a comeback victory in that one. Last week, the Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs 27-19. The Giants are coming fresh off the bye one time. The Giants are coming off 2 straight wins for the first time all season. The Packers have won 3 straight and 4 out of 5 right now. The Packers are 16-0 in the month of December under Matt LaFleur, which is crazy. That's 5 seasons for Matt LaFleur right now. And every season LaFleur has been the coach for the Packers, they've had at least 1 3-game winning streak every year. This is going to be a revenge game for my guy. I saw him out on the field getting a lot of penalties last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, my guy Corey Ballantyne. All you saw was the back of that jersey all game and whatnot, but definitely going to be a revenge game for him. Brian Dable did name Tommy DeVito the starter for this one over Tyrod Taylor, and I told y'all this on the opening. I'll repeat it one more time. If I said this like 3 times. If Brian Dable names Tommy DeVito the starter for the rest of the year when Tyrod Taylor gets healthy, y'all know what the business is one time. Even though DeVito has played some pretty good football, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions since taking over for Daniel Jones in that Raiders game where he blew out his ACL. DeVito does have a QBR of 14.9 on the year. He's been sacked 28 times in 5 appearances. His best work coming against the Beards Washington Commanders for 246 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game. DeVito is the first undrafted rookie quarterback since 1967 with 100 or more quarterback or passer rating in consecutive starts. And the Giants right now, the 32nd ranked offense in the NFL. They did bump up 1 slot as far as points per game goes. We're sitting at 31st right now. But the Packers have been without Jair Alexander for 4 games. They also, their other cornerback, Eric Stokes, he's missed 6 games. And since throwing for -1 yards versus the Jets, Tommy DeVito has averaged 174 yards per game. So I think this could be a really interesting matchup, but it's going to be dependent on if the New York Giants get the Packers team we saw last week against the Kansas City Chiefs or the Packers team that we've seen in the month of October with Jordan Love playing some struggle football. What's your thoughts on this matchup here?
Listen, Green Bay Packers, they're a hot team. And I don't want to, pat myself on the back, but when the crystal ball has been, had a big crack in it for most of the season, I got to, get them where I can. I was pretty high on these Green Bay Packers coming in, and I looked really good in the beginning. And they went through that little stretch where Jordan Love was throwing like 2 picks a game, and it was like, oh, this is not looking so good. But they're playing good football right now. And they're doing it with a lot of people that, you would think would be big parts of that. You named 2 on the defensive side of the ball. Aaron Jones has missed the last 2 games. And then Christian Watson missed some time already. And then now he's going into this game a little banged up with the hamstring injury. So I'm kind of monitoring the Christian Watson. Aaron Jones came back to practice today. So it'll be interesting to see if either one of those guys or both of those guys play or don't play at all. I think that's going to be key. I mean, this Green Bay Packers offense is super young. They're really young at the wide receiver position. They got, their leading receiver is Jaden Reed, who is, the guy that you didn't really think about when you think about these young wide receivers. You got, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and they got another guy, and I'm totally blanking on his name right now. Big guy, but he doesn't play a lot, but he makes some big plays. Will Cox, I think, something like that. And then they got the tight end who's playing right now because their other tight end got.
I'm just looking at their depth chart here. Dontavian Wicks.
Yes, Wicks. That guy right there is sneaky good. He's made a lot of big plays. Not a lot of plays volume-wise, but he's made some big plays for them this year. So he's another guy to kind of keep your eye out on this game. So I broke down some numbers. Obviously there was one shout out to Awthentik. He left this one for me, talking about Jordan Love. His last 5 games, 11 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, including the like pedestal of quarterbacks now, right? The multi-touchdown game streaks in a row. 4 straight in those 5 games. He's had multiple touchdowns in those games. Shout out to Daniel Jones. Just want to,
shout out to Daniel Jones.
But there are some holes in this Green Bay team. And I think, the point that you brought up about which Green Bay team are you guys going to be seeing? I think that's the key here. Obviously, we talk about Saquon because Saquon is the New York Giants. I mean, at this point, as much as everybody, loves a good underdog in Tommy DeVito, there's only enough chicken parmesan sandwiches to go around, okay? We need Saquon Barkley on the ground here, New York Giants fans. Green Bay's run defense, They allow the third most yards per game in the NFL. They're allowing 136.3 yards per game on the ground. So, can Saquon Barkley take advantage of that? That's going to be key for the New York Giants if they want to walk away with a win. I don't know who's left here that wants them to walk away with the win, but I would hope that all of you New York Giants fans would like to walk away with this game with a victory.
That's reverse psychology right there. He wants the higher draft pick as a Washington Commander.
Listen, we're not mathematically eliminated, but we'll save that for another day, okay? So, but listen,
you're gonna run out of days to save that.
Yeah, it's gonna happen eventually, right?
Yeah, I mean, next week when y'all line up, y'all probably gonna be mathematically eliminated.
Well, you never know. You never know until it's that little lowercase e next to Washington in the standings. I'm in it to win it. Okay, so but listen. The Giants' run defense is not much better. They're the fourth worst run defense in the National Football League. They're allowing only 0.2 yards per game less than the Packers. So, I talked about A.J. Dillon. Is A.J. Dillon going to be able to play in this game or not? So we'll see A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones. So we'll see if it's going to be A.J. Dillon or a combination of Jones and Dillon going up against that, bad New York Giants run defense. Also, Green Bay. Top 10 in scoring defense at number 9 in the NFL. So we know the Giants have struggled to score points. Can they put up enough points against Green Bay in this matchup to win? I think this is really going to come down to, I talk a lot about the third down defense and offense here. Green Bay's third down defense is 9th worst in the National Football League. So it'll be interesting to see if the Giants can overcome their deficiency on offense with third downs. This is so bad. The Giants are converting only 30.9% on third down.
Yeah, that's right.
And people always wonder why I think there's so much correlation to a lot of the stats that I really like to dig into every week. And the Giants are not scoring a lot of points. It's hard to score points especially if you don't have explosive plays, which we would think that they would try and draw up with people like Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, and even Saquon Barkley. But if you don't have explosive plays and you're converting 30% on third down, how the hell are you supposed to score points? I don't know. So that's something that's really important. But defensively, I will give the Giants credit because they do have the 5th best third down defense in the National Football League. They're only allowing opponents to convert on third down 35.1% of the time. But Green Bay, very good offensively on third down, 6th best in the National Football League on third down at 44% conversion rate on third down. So it's going to be interesting to see. I always look at these matchups, who can exploit the other team's weakness and can you overcome your own weaknesses? That's really the key, because you can't just count on exploiting the other team's weaknesses unless you can overcome your own weakness in order to win. Because if you're just exploiting their weakness and then they're coming back and exploiting your weakness, the better team's going to win. And I believe that the Green Bay Packers are the better team here than the New York Football Giants. And I think that's probably where I'm going to lean. I think this Green Bay team is they're clicking right now. They're not like Dallas, they're a little bit better on this hot streak than I think the Denver Broncos are on their hot streak. But
which just came to an end, right? Didn't they just lose this past weekend?
And so I think that, Green Bay is a team that I wouldn't necessarily want to face in the playoffs. I think that they can be a scary team.
The NFC has been bad, but if I'm Dallas and I draw Green Bay in the first round, sign me up, man. Yeah. I don't want San Francisco.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I'll definitely take Green Bay or the Bucks if they get in, or the Rams. That's 7th.
But see, I think out of all those teams, I think Green Bay would be the scariest. Maybe Seattle.
Seattle, definitely. You saw the way that they played last week, and you talking about exploiting weaknesses. I thought that game was exactly that. It was 2 teams exploiting the weaknesses, and the Dallas Cowboys got the better of it. The Rams, to me, are also a scary team if they're healthy. Offensively, that they can put up a ton of points.
Good point.
Defensively, they can get after the quarterback a little bit too. So, I don't look at the Packers as a scary team. And like I said in the opening of this, I don't see them being a playoff team when all's said and done, unless the other teams around them kind of fall apart. I think that 7th seed should be for the Seattle Seahawks. The Bucks and the Falcons are kind of competing to try to see who's going to win that division, I guess, which is kind of weird, man. I can't believe that either one of those teams is probably going to get in, but is what it is.
With the home game at that.
Yeah.
But I think Green Bay is going to edge out New York in this game. Do you think they go Tommy DeVito the whole way? Like, is it just like if he was like playing bad? Do you think there's a possibility
you have
that
to.
they put in Tyrod?
It would be ridiculous to start Tommy DeVito and then have him on a leash. I was talking to Tainer about that on Twitter. That would be absolutely ridiculous because the whole point of playing Tommy DeVito is for evaluation here. And if you think he is quote unquote the hot hand, then you think he gives you the best chance to win. Tyrod's coming off just a rib injury just now. And I think they're being a little bit cautious. If we get 2 to 3 weeks down the line and Tyrod is still not starting, like I said, man, I think I know what the New York Giants are doing here. They're not trying to make a run at the playoffs for real, for real. The players can't go out there and tank, but I think that the front office and the coaching staff, it's like you're trying to see what you got in Tommy DeVito, who's going to likely be what? A practice squad quarterback next year? Are the Giants not going to draft a quarterback in the 2024 draft? So what do you do with the rookie? What do you do with Daniel Jones? You're going to keep – are you evaluating Tommy DeVito to be quarterback 3 or are you evaluating him to be a backup quarterback for 2025? That shit makes no sense. And I see a lot of people around the internet, they're saying, this is evaluation. It's evaluation for what Tommy DeVito could be in the future. And I'm like, it's absolutely ridiculous because you got Daniel Jones coming back off an ACL injury. He said it just yesterday that he's trying to be back for minicamp and he's trying to be healthy, for the beginning of the year. I think he's likely going to be the starter for 2024. But if Joe Shane doesn't draft a quarterback, you better get that microscope out because he's definitely going to be up underneath it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So it's a very good point. And big shout out to Independent Outsider with the $10 super chat. Says Tommy D, over or under on passing yards on Prize Picks is 173.5. I would have to take the under here. Pack pass rush is a beast right now, and Tommy D gets sacked more than my slacker relative. Just saying. This is an interesting one. I think Green Bay. I think the Giants are going to be down, which would give me a little bit more lean towards the over. You said he's averaging what 175 right now.
This is how they got that number. He's averaging 174 if you remove the Jets game.
Yeah,
it's probably how they got that number. I'm probably going to take the under in it. I think the Packers have a decent enough defense to be able to tame Tommy DeVito. The thing that could get him over would be some big plays to Jalen Hyatt or something big to Darius Slayton. But you got to bank on him hitting these throws, and he made some really really good throws against you guys. Definitely some nice hole shots in the cover.
Everybody did.
Yeah, I mean y'all are just alley-oop for a big game for a quarterback for sure right now. That's what it seems to be. I mean. Outside of Mac Jones, who, we're going to get to him later, but Tommy DeVito, I think he's capable of doing it. For me, I just think that he's the kind of guy who he is waiting for the big play, but in return, that just gets him in too much trouble in the pocket. And he's not really as evasive as he looked in the preseason. When he was going up against third stringers and second stringers in the preseason, the dude looked like he could move a little bit in the pocket. And when Tyrod ended up getting hurt, I remember tweeting it out like, yo, Tommy DeVito can win us this game because I thought he was a little bit more mobile. But you put him around, the top-tier talent in the NFL, the first stringers, and you see that these edge rushers and these defensive linemen, they have an easy time getting after him. It's not a problem. And he holds on to that ball, taking way too many sacks.
Yeah, this is probably a bet that I would just completely stay away from. But if I was forced to choose the over or under, I might take – damn. I want to take the over. I really do. But I'll take the under. He probably ends up with like 170, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I could see him being right around that. I mean, like you said, it's a bet that I would probably stay away from because he could easily go over it. It depends on the New York Giants having the kind of game that, their offense is going to excel, maybe some good yards and some good catches out of the backfield from Saquon Barkley could put them in position to do that as well and then be able to take that deep shot. But yeah, this is a coin flip right here for real.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, New York Giants.
You can hold off on your score.
Okay.
You can hold off on your score for a second because I want to go over a couple other things here. So the key matchup for me in this game is going to be on the Giants defense, actually. And we know that lately the New York Giants defense has been very dependent on how the offense plays. When the offense is not in the game and our defense has been out there too long, our defense doesn't have a good game, which is also why I think that the rushing yards per game against our defense is a little bit of smoke. The beginning of the year, obviously, we struggled on both sides of the ball. We couldn't stop the run. We couldn't sustain drives and score points. We had that long streak of 7 or 8 games where we didn't even have a touchdown in the first quarter. We had that long streak where we didn't even have a touchdown in the first half. But I think the Packers' young wide receivers going up against the Giants secondary is going to be super important here. And, against the Chiefs, who are the number 3 defense in the NFL, Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs had really good days. Christian Watson had a career high 7 receptions for 71 yards, not in yardage, but in his receptions. It was a career high, and he had 2 touchdowns. He ended up leaving the game with the hamstring injury a little late there. Romeo Doubs, he led the team with 72 yards versus the Kansas City Chiefs as well. And like I said in the beginning, I'm a little bit uncertain if the game versus Kansas City was, a fluke or, if that's the real deal type of Packers team I think we can get. And I think that's why you're pretty high on the Packers. They played to the potential that you kind of, estimated at the beginning of the year with the caliber of team that they could be. Now, if the Giants want to win, and y'all know my saying, if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But if the Giants want to win, I think it starts with getting pressure on Jordan Love right off the bat. And I talked to the Beard about this off air for a little bit. Like, Jordan Love was getting very lucky last week. A lot of the throws, he was getting pressure down the pike, and he was getting rid of the ball right on time. I will give him that. But a lot of those throws lollipopped up in the air. He was just dodging a few interceptions in that game as well. Some plays where his receivers were coming down with the ball on some 50-50 type of plays. I've been digging into Jordan Love's tape the last couple of weeks, and he's not impressive right now. I think the mechanics are extremely flawed, upper body mechanics especially. He's doing too much tiptoeing and bouncing in the pocket and whatnot. And I think in return, that's screwing up his vision down the field. And this kid is wildly inaccurate at times, but then also has the arm talent to be able to make some great throws. It's very like polar opposite of what you're seeing in Washington from Sam Howell. Like, I feel like Sam Howell's accuracy is very consistent. Yeah, he makes the one mistake a game, but his accuracy is extremely consistent. You know, if receivers are open down the field, that Sam Howell's going to have that ball near them. Whereas with Jordan Love, sometimes he just completely misses his receivers. The Beard talked about the 4 games in a row with multiple passing touchdowns, but he also has back-to-back games with 3 touchdowns, the one against Detroit and this last one against the Kansas City Chiefs as well. And he started off the year with consecutive games with multiple passing touchdowns before he hit that extreme cold streak from the end of September through all of October. This dude had 1 touchdown passing in every one of those games, and he was turning the ball over a lot in those games. I think the Giants are going to have to try to get the pressure on him, and if we do get the pressure on him, I think we absolutely can, and we need to force some turnovers in this game. Right now, the Giants have the 8th most takeaways in the league with 19 right now. 6 of them did come against the Commanders, and I forget who it was we played the week before that. We had like 3 or 4 in that game as well. The Miami Dolphins game, I think we had 3 in that game as well. So it's like these are coming in chunks, in these games. It's not like they've been a consistent team throughout the year that is forcing takeaways. So I'm very puzzled on what New York Giants defense we're going to get in this game. But I think it absolutely is dependent on if you can get pressure on Jordan Love. Kayvon Thibodeau right now, you got to get after the quarterback in this one. He's 9th in the NFL with 11 sacks. And I think, I talked about this a little bit with Devito. You absolutely have to continue to feed Jalen Hyatt and make him, the staple in this offense. Because if the Giants get that big play or 2 from Jalen Hyatt, I think we're definitely going to be in this game. And Hyatt's coming off his biggest game before the bye where he had 5 receptions for 109 yards. But Hyatt is still yet to get into the end zone this year. Saquon Barkley still leads us in receiving touchdowns, which is absolutely ridiculous right now. But I think you got to find a way to get Hyatt in the end zone, but more importantly, get the big plays. Try to get some explosive plays from Hyatt. And I'm relying on Brian Dable to scheme that up. This is the coaching matchup on Monday night is going to be extremely important. And I think in the last couple of games, we've seen a better Brian Dable. We've seen a better Mike Kafka. And it's interesting because there's all these rumors and all this news coming out of the New York Giants front office and the locker room and whatnot, that there's some beef between the coaches. And I do think a little bit of this is kind of soft. Like when I'm hearing some of this news, people are saying like Brian Dable's like ragging on the coaches and he's cursing at them. Like, so what? Like that does not bother me. In all my levels of football, I've seen all my coaches get into beefs. It didn't mean that there was like this huge problem. I'm not saying that there's not a problem in New York. And I think that if they try to use Wink Martindale as a scapegoat, like Jordan Renan has been suggesting, that's absolutely ridiculous because this defense has been the backbone of what is there as far as a team goes for the New York Giants. The offense has been ranked dead last throughout the entire season, cannot get in the end zone. We talked about CMC last week having more touchdowns than the entire New York Giants team, which stuff like that is just not okay. And I think Brian Dable has to, take a long look in the mirror. And I think the last couple of weeks he's done that. This bye came at a good time. Hopefully they got to reassess, regroup, come out here and put their best foot forward, especially offensively. Now, I think you also got to get Saquon Barkley involved. Saquon right now, he's leading the team in rushing, obviously, with 697 yards. He only has 1 touchdown on the ground, but he has 4 touchdowns in the receiving game and 28 receptions on the year. Saquon's going for his 3rd straight game versus the Packers with 100 scrimmage yards. So that's definitely something that we want to see Saquon get to. He wasn't involved that much in the game plan before the bye. he only had 46 yards on the ground versus the Patriots on just 12 rushes. And Saquon hasn't had 15 attempts or more in 3 straight games. And you know me, those type of things tend to bother me, because if you're not going to have him involved in the rushing attack, then you better have him involved in the passing attack. And I think that's been the problem with Saquon through 3 different coaching staffs, with Pat Shurmur, with Joe Judge, and now with Brian Daboll, is the way that they utilize Saquon Barkley. It seems that nobody can quite get it right. And I think they need to start looking at the way that the San Francisco 49ers have been using CMC. And I've been saying this one for years, the way that the Saints have been using Kamara. Like Kamara right now, his rushing touchdowns are extremely low, but the way that he is involved in the passing attack for the Saints is literally the reason that they've been in games. So you got to find a way to get Saquon involved. Now, the defense, we need another high-level performance. It is going to be dependent on this offense, and this is why I left the defense for last, because if the offense can keep us in this game, give me an explosive play or two, get this running game at least going, commit to it. I don't care if it's under 4 yards a carry, just commit to the rushing game and get Saquon the ball. And even if you got to bring in some of these other running backs, get them included as well. But defensively, Bobby O's been having a hell of a year. 113 tackles. I think Bobby O is the best acquisition that Joe Schoen has brought in thus far. Draft, whatever, free agency, all of these signings, bringing back players to run it back. I think Bobby O has been the best player we've seen, with Kayvon Thibodeau probably being a close second to him. 3rd straight season for Bobby O with 100 or more tackles. And a lot of people were down on Xavier McKinney, talking about Xavier McKinney as a guy who's expendable. We don't need to bring him back. And I think he knows in a contract year, now he's stepped it up the last couple of weeks. He's got 10 or more tackles in 4 straight games now. And he had the interception in the Patriots game. So Xavier McKinney has been a staple. Deonte Banks, he's right up there in that top 3 as far as, the draft picks that Joe Schoen has brought in. He's tied for second of all rookies right now with 10 pass breakups on a year. And Kayvon Thibodeau at home has been really good. He has 7 sacks at home and 8 TFLs on a year. So for me, this defense got to step up. I think too much has to go right for the New York Giants to win this game. Playing at home definitely helps us out a little bit. We know DeVito's probably likely to take a few sacks in this game. Just don't turn the ball over. I promise you, if DeVito turns the ball over, the New York Giants are not going to win the game unless they can win the turnover battle with DeVito turning the ball over. So that's going to up the ante and make us have to get at least two turnovers if DeVito does turn the ball over. DeVito has done a good job of that, though. I thought he's done a good job of taking care of the ball, especially for a guy who's been hit left and right in that pocket, taking sacks all year since he's been the starter and since he came in for relief for Daniel Jones. The Packers have also been inconsistent as well. The big question mark here is, are we going to get the best version of the Green Bay Packers, or are we going to get that version we saw in the months of September going through October? I'm banking on, even if they don't play their best football, I think the Packers are still going to come out on top here. Giants right now, our offense is ranked 32nd in the NFL right now. Our pass offense, dead last. Our scoring offense is 31st. The only thing we got going right now is to run the ball. The Beard talked about it. The Green Bay Packers are susceptible to the run. The Giants have the 18th ranked rushing offense in the league. Defensively, I think our numbers are a bit skewed, but overall, 28th. Rushing defense, 28th. Pass defense, 20th. Scoring, 26th. The matchup, to me, leans and favors towards the Green Bay Packers. I thought earlier on in the year that this was going to be a game that, I could check off as a victory for my Giants. This and the Rams game coming up as well. I thought the Saints was going to be a toss-up. I think we can afford to lose this one probably. Kind of still stay in the mix if we can beat the Saints in the weeks to come here. But I'm going to take the Packers in this one. I don't think it's going to be that close, but I don't think it'll be, a crazy blowout. I'm taking the Packers in this one, 27-16.
All right. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers 24-10. You know who's not taking the Green Bay Packers, though?
I'm going to go with Tudo.
With a $4.99 super chat says, massive salutes and respects to Awthentik and the Beard. The number one, the best Thomas Guide maps. I'm going to have to look that one up. And the biggest gold nuggets. And please kick all Boyd's losers out of the door hard and fast. Fist pump, Italy.
I'm Tudo. I'm gonna wait until next season before I start throwing the Eagles out the door and slamming the door. Hopefully we can reset, reboot, Command Shift Alt Delete. You know what I'm saying? Hold the power button on the tower, get back, and maybe we can start trying to compete within the division, because it's been pretty pathetic for the New York Giants, man. And here's the scary part about it for the Giants. We're not competing within our division outside of the Commanders, right? But even with the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, you're seeing teams within the conference like the San Francisco 49ers beat the brakes off both of those teams. So not only does that tell me we're far off in the division, we're even farther in the conference. So New York Giants got a lot of work to do come the offseason. I'm looking forward to it, but big shout out to the homie Tudo one time, man.
Appreciate you as always, Tuto.
So what you got? You said score-wise 24-10?
Yes. Is it, if I'm mistaken, are there 2 Monday night games this week?
You know, when Bleacher Report sent me the streams, it did look like there was 2 Monday night games. I believe there is.
We're going to get real funky here. The back end,
because that would mean that, like, you would think the Giants game was later.
They're literally at the exact same time, I believe.
They don't normally do that. Normally one is like, a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it's what do they call that word? Blanking.
Staggered.
Staggered. Thank you.
Yeah, so there is 2 Monday night games, and they're both at the exact same time. The other one is the Tennessee Titans against the Miami Dolphins.
So I'm assuming they put you guys on the Ocho then.
It says our game was on ESPN, so I'm not too sure. We'll see, man.
The other one's on what? ABC, I guess?
I've never seen 2 Monday night games, at the same exact time. So that's kind of interesting. But I would think maybe ABC, because ABC hasn't had a lot of games. NBC gets the Sunday night game, so I think you could rule them out.
Yeah, very interesting. Big shout out to Independent Outsider with a $2 super chat. Says, if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't declare, I did read about this a little bit today.
Yeah.
Can we still get our X?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wide receivers in this draft. I like Keon Coleman out of Florida State a lot, and I think he'll be like a later first round, maybe a second round type of guy. Malik Neighbors is out there. There's a lot of wide receivers for sure. I don't think that the New York Giants should spend their first round draft capital on a wide receiver unless things get extremely dicey. For me, is go get the quarterback. And, I was talking to a homie about this on Twitter earlier. Like, I really want to see them go out there now, especially if the pick is going to be 4 or 5 or something like that. Go out there and get Jaden Daniels.
It's going to be interesting. Do you think Jaden Daniels wins the Heisman, or do you think Bo Nix wins the Heisman? Just out of curiosity. Probably Bo Nix.
I really don't know, man. I really don't. I mean, like, Bo Nix played great football throughout the whole entire year. His numbers were always more impressive than his actual play on the field. I think Jaden Daniels gives you that dual threat. He's probably the more exciting player, I would say. My vote would be for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Kai says ESPN Plus will be other games. Stupid.
Yeah, I would like to see that on Amazon Prime. That would have been nice because Prime got the really dope broadcast, man. Like the Prime.
Man, I finally took me long enough, but I finally took that remote and went down and
yeah, it's the way, man. Especially for people
routes.
For people that, don't look at tape during the week too, like to watch a game like that, you almost don't got to go do those things. If you're busy during the week and whatnot and you can't look at tape, that's the best way to look at a game for me, man. You get to see route concepts, man, and these play designs. Like when my Giants get a game like that, I'm totally invested. I'm glued to the screen. I love that.
Amazon, reach out to us if you are looking for 2 guys to do those little pop-in segments in between those with
I don't really like that guy. I'm gonna keep it real. Like no beef with him or nothing.
Yeah, but
it's just weird to interrupt the broadcast like that with like these kind of like. But I see what they're doing. They're trying to make people look at the game with a more analytical eye. And I look at the game like that already. So it's like a lot of stuff he says, I'm just kind of like whatever. But I think it's a good thing. But no shade towards him or nothing like that. But it's not my vibe.
No shade to if you need a guy, I know a couple. That's all I'm saying. Amazon.
Facts.
But big shout out to the Giants and the Packers.
Yeah,
Monday night.
That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good one. I think that game could go either way. It's really a coin toss. Whoever loses that game, sayonara, you're going to be up out of here. Let's get to this last matchup here, man. The Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the best game of the week, right? Pittsburgh Steelers.
Whoa. Forgot about the
we do got the Eagles.
You said the best game of the week. I was like, okay, I'm ready. Then you said Steelers. I was like
that, right?
You've been doing a little too much beard action right now because that's usually my line, But yeah, we're going to talk about the real best game of the week before we talk about the juggernauts.
Yeah, let's get to it, man. Eagles at Cowboys one time. Lot on the line in this game right here, man. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. This one is going to be a revenge game for Dak Prescott. He's going to be trying to get back one time. The Philadelphia Eagles are 10-2. The Dallas Cowboys, not to the Beard's liking, are 9-3 right now. The opening line was Cowboys by 3.5. I like that right there. Last meeting, we know the Eagles beat the Cowboys 28-23. That was just on November 5th in Philadelphia. Last week, Eagles got the brakes beat off of them by them 49ers, 42-19. And the Cowboys in the game of the week last week against the Seattle Seahawks came out on top 41-35. First place for the NFC East is on the line. I remember I asked you a couple weeks back if you thought the Cowboys were in the class of them and if they could catch up. You were kind of like, nah. I know that tune has changed right now for sure, because if the Dallas Cowboys win this one, they have the tiebreaker on the Philadelphia Eagles right now. They'll take first place in the NFC East. The Eagles are trying to sweep the Dallas Cowboys for the first time since 2011. Cowboys still on that 14-game home winning streak. That's their longest streak in more than 40 years. Jalen Hurts, man, most recently had back-to-back losses. I can't even say most recently because it was way back in 2021. And after losing to the Jets this year, Jalen Hurts was on a mission. He threw for 279 yards and he had 3 total touchdowns. That was in a game versus the Miami Dolphins. Hurts has thrown for more than 325 yards both times that he has played against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World. Now, Dak Prescott is 30-8 against the NFC East in his 8-year career. That dog, we got so much catching up to do because listen to this. 4 of those losses are from the Philadelphia Eagles. So outside of that, between your team and between my team, we've only beat Dak Prescott 4 total times. Dak Prescott has 20 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in his last 6 games. He leads the NFL now with 26 touchdowns. He's got 8 games with a passer rating over 100. That's first in the NFL. All of those games came at home. At home, Dak Prescott is averaging 309 yards per game. He has 19 touchdowns and 2 interceptions at home. That's 8 more touchdowns than the New York Giants' whole entire roster of quarterbacks right now, okay? A.J. Brown versus CeeDee Lamb. That is the matchup that you got to keep your eyes on. I know they're not going to be playing against each other, but whoever has the bigger game is definitely going to set up their team for success. So let's go back and forth with a couple of stats here before I throw it to the Beard. A.J. Brown set an NFL record earlier this year with 6 consecutive games of at least 125 yards. CeeDee Lamb set an NFL record with 3 straight games of at least 10 catches and 150 yards. CeeDee Lamb, second in the NFL right now with 1,182 yards. A.J. Brown, he's 4th in the NFL right now with 1,164 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 90 receptions on the year. These stats sound like the year is over, but there's a couple of games left here for them to pad these stats a little bit too. A.J. Brown, 81 receptions on the year. CeeDee Lamb tied his career high with 12 receptions in Week 13, and he leads the league with 5 games with 11 or more receptions this season. A.J. Brown just went off last week too, 8 receptions for 114 yards and a big loss to the San Francisco 49ers. If that game was close, I'm sure A.J. Brown puts up even more numbers. CeeDee Lamb has 350 career receptions since entering the league in 2020. Only the 4th player ever in the history of this league to reach 350 receptions in his first 4 seasons. Now, those are the wide receiver 1A for each respective team. But for me, this game is going to be about the importance of the wide receiver 1B. And Devonta Smith, you called it last week. He had a big game, 9 receptions for 96 yards, and he got his 6th touchdown of the year. Devonta Smith had 113 yards and 2 touchdowns versus the Cowboys last season in a loss as well. Now, for the Cowboys, I think that their wide receiver 1B is a little bit different than the way it is for the Philadelphia Eagles. For the Cowboys, it's going to have to be Jake Ferguson or it's going to have to be Brandon Cooks, who I scooped up off the waiver wire about 6 weeks ago when the Beard cut him from his fantasy team. And I've been on a run ever since. But Jake Ferguson right now is 3rd amongst all tight ends in touchdowns right now. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year, and he had a slow start to this year. He was getting a ton of targets, but him and Dak just were not on the same page. And Brandon Cooks, same kind of vibes too. Brandon Cooks has a touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games, and he has a touchdown in 4 of his last 6. Cooks had that monster game. It was his best game of the year against the New York Giants, where he had 9 receptions for 173 yards. I think he's going to need to bring his A game this week or his wide receiver 1B game. One of those for sure. If the Dallas Cowboys want to get revenge and see a victory in this game, I think that the running game is not going to matter in this one as much. We saw it last week with the Philadelphia Eagles. DeAndre Swift completely shut down. Tony Pollard, he's been a shell of himself of what we saw from him last year when he had Zeke Elliott in the lineup. I'm positive that the Dallas Cowboys are definitely going to address that going into the offseason this year because Tony Pollard is absolutely a part of their future. I believe he's on a franchise tag this year, so he's going to be looking for a deal next year. But you got to bring in a running back too. I think whatever quarterback and whatever wide receiver duo, you could throw tight end in there. Let's call it pass catcher duo. Whichever one of those has the better performance for their respective team is going to be the team to come out on top on this one. What do you think about this matchup?
Well, I did want to mention I was really leaning one way, and then I saw this in the chat. It says, got some troubling news about the Sunday night game. The Eagles are currently 7-0 with the head referee officiating, so we have to dominate and take the refs out the game, says Marcus.
That's a good point.
Good point.
I mean, Dallas is going to be, riddled with penalties. That's been their thing, and they found ways to win games around that.
It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I will tell you, I don't know if you saw this or not, because it's interesting because you talked about the run game. I'm a big run game, big defense guy. The Giants fans literally chilling outside of like the facilities of Philadelphia, waiting for Sirianni to roll up in his car, like just posted up with the big "run the damn ball" sign on the side of the road, like just waiting for Sirianni to pass by in his car.
Wait, what were they doing? They were holding up what sign?
They weren't even holding it. They had it like, it was like a giant sign. Like they just had it posted right on the like in the grass on the side of the road where the coach.
Eagles fans or Giants fans?
Eagles fans.
Okay, you said Giants fans.
Did I say Giants fans?
My brain just was like, what? I was about to say the disrespect, man. That's psychotic for New York Giants fans to roll up all the way to Link to try to tell Sirianni to run the damn ball. And why would they be doing that? That one definitely caught me off guard.
Yeah, so they've been like, they're like, that's like the big thing right now. And I think that they kind of have a point because I feel like that was a lot of their identity, right? I don't want to say it was their identity, but I think it had a lot to do with the success of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think it allowed a lot more opportunity for Jalen Hurts as far as, things that he can do. So I think that they're going to have to try and find a way to run the ball. Now, when I looked at the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, it's, you talked about what I asked if they were in their class, and for most of the year, I've kind of been like, the Eagles are a complete team. They just haven't played a complete game. But that pass defense is pretty damn bad. And I just, the thing is that Dallas doesn't necessarily have that. They don't have a thing that they do that's like bottom of the barrel statistically. Yeah. Like they might be like middle of the road in a lot of things and then really good at most things. But they don't have that bottom of the barrel in the league sort of thing like the Philadelphia Eagles do. And I think that might be the difference. So for me, it's obviously going to come down to that Dallas passing offense versus Philadelphia passing defense. So the Philadelphia passing defense is fourth worst in the National Football League as far as yards go per game, 260.3. They've allowed only team to allow more passing touchdowns than the Philadelphia Eagles is the Washington Commanders. The Eagles have allowed the second most passing touchdowns all year long, 27. So, like, I'm looking at the way that Dak's been playing, right? Going up against that passing defense, I would be worried if I was the Philadelphia Eagles team. And generally, like, for me, like, when it's a really good team like the Eagles and they're coming off of a loss, I'm like, oh, they're not going to lose 2 in a row. Like, they going to go to work. I'm not worried about the Eagles. So, like, in the back of my mind, generally, I would probably pick a team like the Eagles in a game like this. But the way that Dallas's offense is playing right now, it's very difficult for me to find a way where I would not be scared if I was a Philadelphia Eagles, fan. And then we talked about the Philadelphia run offense and how it's kind of been non-existent as of lately. And it not necessarily even non-existent, but not as potent and as powerful as they showed, especially early in the year and definitely for parts of last year, if not the whole year last year, right? Dallas's run defense, though, which seems to be their weak points, I guess you could say, defensively, but they're not that bad. They're just, once again, a little bit better than middle of the road. They're like 12th in yards allowed and rushing touchdowns. They've only allowed 16 rushing touchdowns all year, which is 17th in the National Football League. So once again, nothing bottom of the barrel, just a little bit mediocre, I guess you would say, right?
Yeah.
So I think also one of the big things is you're going to have to see who can get to these quarterbacks, okay? You got to get some sacks. Who's going to turn the ball over? Dallas has been really, really good at not turning the ball over as of late, especially during this streak in which Dak has just been going absolutely crazy. And then Philadelphia, on the other hand, has been kind of like a turnover a game. 1-2 turnovers a game. Not necessarily all on Jalen Hurts, but in general, 1 to 2 turnovers a game. So I think that's going to be something interesting to keep your eye on as well. Both of these teams, though, now I said there wasn't anything like bottom of the barrel. Now this isn't like a major, one of the, the major 4 statistical categories, but both of these teams are bottom 10 in red zone defense. So I think this game's probably going to be high scoring, right? We're playing indoors. Philly don't got to worry about no weather, right? So we're going to see what's really good. What's really good with this offense and this defense for Philadelphia Eagles. But the red zone offense is where Philadelphia against that defense can kind of like, have a little bit of a slight advantage. They're the 8th best red zone offense, 61.7% in the red zone, going up against the bottom 10.
That's interesting because 61 at 8th. I got to take a look at some of the other teams above them because that's high. That's a great
high,
rate.
Very high. And then Dallas is 17th in red zone offense at 53.7%. So they've been getting a little bit better because there was a while there where they were in the 20s when it came down to red zone offense.
Yeah, and I've battled you on that. You got to do some research on that and see the attempts because the Cowboys are number 2 per game, I believe it was.
Yeah, and
so they're getting down there. Last week they were 50%. They had 8 red zone trips,
which was insane.
Yeah.
Insane. You just don't see a lot of that. And so it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's very difficult for me. I know Awthentik said he knows where I'm going to go.
Oh, yeah. You leaning Eagles. I know you are.
It's going to be interesting. You know who's not leaning Eagles, though?
It got to be Tudo. Got to
be. Big shout out to Tudo with a $4.99 super chat, says Awthentik in the beard. Most of us, when he says us, not necessarily like me and Awthentik, but the Italian rugby
Italy
players.
Gang. Yeah.
Okay. The real Devitos. Okay. He said most of them are banned from Link for life. Not even just like, hey, we're gonna need you to take the season off here, Tudo. But no, don't come back ever. Okay.
I always wondered how they monitor that. Like when they ban you for life, like how do they monitor? They got a copy of the ID over there. Like, bro, you can't come in. Sorry.
Facial recognition. Who knows? It's Chinese. It's just gotta watch out for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that was racist.
No, I mean they had the facial recognition.
Yeah, I know.
They're hacking the TikTok and all that. So, but he says there are tons of Eagles sports bars and restaurants in Philly. I think you might be safer in the stadium than the bars or the restaurants in Philly.
I'm not worried about Tudo being safe, man. Look at the profile pic, bro.
I mean
that's a headlock waiting for Eagles.
I don't know how many of you guys remember back in the day. I talked about ESPN Ocho a little while back, right, earlier in the episode. But I don't know how many of y'all used to be up. I used to be a guy that would watch ESPN like it was on. Like from I was a child until I was a grown man all the time. Good call right there.
Yeah, I remember.
And then, but like 2-3 in the morning, they'd have those World's Strongest Men competition. Families be throwing kegs over 20-foot log walls and stuff, pulling fire trucks with chalk on their hands. That's what Tudo's shoulders look like right here. Like Tudo's wearing shoulder pads without shoulder pads. But he says on January 7th he'll be there. Boyd's losers hunting. He's hunting bird. January 7th in Philadelphia. If you guys want to find Tudo, just look for the shoulders and please. Fist pump Italy.
Tudo might be a little bit too gangster for them. I told you a little too much wrist action
He's
right there.
Like this.
Tudo just got one of these for you. Come here. Get one of them shows.
Good old noogie, huh? Appreciate you as always.
Big salute to Tudo.
I'm actually this game is so tough for me, Awthentik. Where are you gonna go?
I'm going Dallas.
I'm gonna go Dallas too.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Dallas should have won the last game. The Eagles, they escaped with that that stop on the in the red zone on 4th down. They went and reviewed the call. What's my man's name? What's the backup tight end for the Dallas Cowboys? He got a Schooner.
Shoemaker.
Yeah, he ended up getting stopped. That's why you got to hit Jake Ferguson on those. Jake Ferguson gonna get in. You saw him beefing with Jamal Adams. He was playing no games.
No games. And then
Yeah,
Jamal
he was
Adams
playing
had
no
to go a
games.
little extra. Bring in
Jamal Adams
wife.
is looking crazy on Twitter this past week too, man. Bro,
Crazy.
yeah, bro got to take some of his own advice. But I'm going Dallas Cowboys. I think it'll be relatively close, but I think when you see a recipe how to beat a team, how the 49ers just did with the Philadelphia Eagles by just rushing forward, right? And just keeping everybody back in coverage and allowing Jalen Hurts to try to, make plays with his arm. They did a really good job of, containing him. And they allowed A.J. Brown to make some big plays here or there early in the game, but ultimately it just wasn't enough. I think the Cowboys are going to win this one. And if the Cowboys can go out there and play mistake-free football, you saw it against the Seattle Seahawks where they made a few mistakes in that game where, they were down by 8 in the third quarter and trying to claw back, missed a couple of fourth down opportunities, missed some red zone opportunities in that game as well, and allowed the Seattle Seahawks to kind of dictate and control the middle quarters of that game. They were even leading at the half. I think the Cowboys got to just avoid that. Get that early lead, make Jalen Hurts and the Eagles play from behind, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to win. I'm going to go 34-24 Dallas Cowboys.
We're kind of close. Listen, if the Dallas Cowboys lose, I don't want all you Cowboys fans coming back here and blaming me, okay? I just want to throw this is my my warning, okay? This is my insurance policy here, okay? I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys to win. It's crazy. 31-27 Dallas wins over Philadelphia.
A little closer. I like it.
I think it's going to be 27-24. Dak leads the Cowboys down the field. CeeDee Lamb breaks one for a touchdown, and that's going to be the deciding factor. 31-27.
I like it. CeeDee Lamb and Dak on the quick slant have been crazy. Chaz just texted me too, and when I was talking with him last week, the one thing I think you don't got to worry about the Dallas Cowboys, and I hope I'm not jinxing y'all. Let me give y'all one of those. Offensively, man, I have extreme confidence in that offense. Like when Dak's dropping back to pass, I'm like, they're going to get these first downs. They're going to move the ball. It's all about getting in that red zone and just finishing those drives out. And, there's got to be a little bit of extra urgency going into this game. Everything on the line here. First place, I think the Dallas Cowboys do not want to end up in that wild card position again. They definitely want to get that number one seed. So not only they can get the bye, but so that they can kind of dodge the San Francisco 49ers until they get to the divisional round or possibly the NFC Championship, man. And like I told y'all a couple episodes ago, man, beginning of the year, I didn't really tell nobody this, but I definitely wrote it down. I had my shorty sign it so she could remember it as well. I thought the Dallas Cowboys had a roster to go to the Super Bowl. So you got to start playing your best football right now. They've played their best football leading up against a bunch of bad teams. Now the competition is definitely about to get a lot better. You got this game. You got the Detroit Lions. You got a couple of tough matchups here. You got to just go out there and handle business, man. And I think, with the veteranship from your quarterback, from Dak Prescott, I don't think the Cowboys now, especially their fan base, would not rather have anybody else leading their team right now. Dak Prescott has shown you this year that he's a true leader. It's all about just finishing, man, and a lot of quarterbacks and teams fall short at that year in and year out. We see it with Josh Allen all the time. We've seen it now with Joe Burrow, with the Kansas City Chiefs after he beat them the first 3 times and whatnot. So it's not easy. I hate when people try to make it seem like it's easy for these teams to get to a Super Bowl. And the Dallas Cowboys have struggled. We know it's been like 30 seasons, man, that they haven't been to a Super Bowl. They're right there with your Commanders. And, getting to a Super Bowl is not an easy thing. So I'm picking the Cowboys in this one. I think that they're the better team. And you brought up a lot of good reasons about it. There really is no weak unit on the Dallas Cowboys. They have weaker units. And you can run the ball against them. And I think the Eagles are going to try to come out here and establish the run early. But the Cowboys have the physicality, I think, to match the Philadelphia Eagles and be able to get that victory.
Yeah, just listen. If the Eagles win this game, I know we talked about the 1As and 1Bs, which is probably going to be more than that. But I will say this. If the Eagles win this game, I think DeAndre Swift has like one of those games he had early in the year if the Eagles win. I feel like
plus.
I feel like he's just they need to use him. Like I remember when I watched that and I was like, finally, DeAndre Swift has been freed because I've been waiting for so long for just DeAndre Swift like to be an every down back and do all the things that he can do and somebody to let him do those things.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we're gonna put him right back in his pouch and we'll put him on the shelf for a little while.
Yeah, and don't forget the Eagles have tried to commit to running the ball. They have the 5th most attempts in the NFL, and I know they have a running quarterback, but they have the 5th most attempts on the ground in the NFL. So
yeah,
a lot of it has to do with
Gainwell played a good amount of snaps. I know Swift got hit early in that game, but there was a lot of Gainwell snap percentage.
Which he should get the ball. He's been there for a while. That was the one thing I questioned. Why aren't they using those other running backs, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell? But DeAndre Swift is that type of running back. He's very streaky. I think that was the problem when he was with Detroit, was consistency. He could never be consistent. He's got a way better offensive line with the Philadelphia Eagles, so we'll see how that one pans out.
Yep.
All right, let's get right to it now. Let's get to that game I was talking about, the best game of the week between the Patriots and the Steelers one time. All right, I thought we were going to end this show a little bit early today, being that there was only 3 games. Washington on the bye. You got 2 teams in the NFC East going up against each other, and then this one Thursday night game, along with the Giants and the Packers game. But this one's gonna be pretty ugly, I imagine. Do you know the over/under in this game?
It is 30.5. It is the lowest over/under in
the history of the league,
30 or 40 years, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think we're not
third
gonna get
lowest
there in this
ever.
One. Third lowest ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right. The Patriots are 2-10 right now, and with all that said about how bad these offenses have been, the Steelers are sitting at 7-5 right now. A loss would give New England its first 11-loss season since 2000. Bill Belichick's first year with the Patriots. So I think Bill Belichick's going to be clawing for this victory. And I know you real low on Bill Belichick, but I can't throw too much shade towards Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
the Giants,
not shade. It's just,
I mean, you said you want nothing to do with him as a head coach. You guys got Ron Rivera over there. I mean,
I'm not saying Ron Rivera's better than Bill Belichick, but listen, sometimes it's time to saddle up the horse, ride off into the sunset. Okay.
I don't think it's time for Bill Belichick to do. That's one of the best minds. I mean, well, wait till I run off some of these numbers. You're gonna see why Bill Belichick
I know he's
is
one of the
guy.
best coaches ever. If not,
I'm not talking about the past. I'm talking about this year with a 2-10 team here one time. But this is gonna be a battle of 2 top 5 coaches with the most consecutive seasons over 500. Mike Tomlin has an active streak right now, the longest active streak of 16 seasons. Bill Belichick is second on that list with 19. His streak is not active right now. Kickoff is going to be at 8:15 tonight on Amazon Prime. Don't forget to turn on that Prime Vision. That's definitely the way. Just hit down on your remote. Check the broadcast. You'll see there's 3 different broadcasts there that you can choose from. Pick the Prime Vision one. Opening line has the Steelers by 5.5. Last week, the Patriots lost to the Chargers in a game where they only allowed them to score 6 points. All right? Beard chuckling over here. I'm about to keep it 100 with you right now. The Steelers lost to the Cardinals 24-10. Kyler Murray getting them back on track here one time. The Steelers have not lost 2 games in a row all season, and they are 4-0 after a loss this year as well. Last meeting, the Patriots beat the Steelers 17-14. That was just last year. The Patriots have won 9 of the 12 meetings with the Steelers since Mike Tomlin arrived in Pittsburgh. I do think that that's probably going to change tonight. I think the Steelers are favored for a reason here. New England has lost 5 in a row, and they're 1-8 in their last 9 games. They're giving y'all a good run for y'all money right now. The Patriots have scored just 13 points in their last 3 games. That's not each game. That's combined, okay? So over here in New England, they have a serious offensive problem, and this is what I'm about to say about Bill Belichick, because if you paired him with a great offensive mind, you would have a great coaching staff right now. Their defense has only given up just 26 points in the last 3 games. The Patriots have lost 3 games while allowing 10 points or less this year. Think about you as a fan watching your team lose 3 games where your defense only allows 10 points or under in those games. The Steelers have scored 10 points or less in 5 games this year. This is why this game is going to be extremely ugly tonight. The Steelers have the 26th ranked offense and the 25th ranked defense. I'm telling you, what Mike Tomlin is doing over there is absolutely amazing, because they're not a good team. And they're dealing with a quarterback issue here because what's my man, Kenny Pickett, he's going to be out for likely the rest of the year. He just had ankle surgery, high ankle sprain for him. And the Steelers right now, they're averaging 16 points per game. The Patriots are averaging an NFL worst 12.3 points per game. So, like I said, this is a major offensive problem. And you got Joe Judge over there. You got Bill O'Brien over there, who I cannot stand Bill O'Brien. I thought that he had a lot to do with the downfall of Deshaun Watson and the Texans in general, trading away D-Hop to the Cardinals when those 2 players were both in their prime. And he was in a general manager type of role as well. So you got Kenny Pickett ruled out. You got Mac Jones just ruled just bad. He's just bad this year, okay? Bailey Zappi is going to be going up against Mitchell Trubisky this week. And Bailey Zappi last week versus the Chargers, he was 13 of 25 for 141 yards. I mean, that's just pathetic. His QBR was 16.2. He's giving Tommy DeVito a great run for his money right now. Zappi has appeared in 5 games. He's got no touchdowns in those 5 games this year, 2 interceptions, QBR of 17.6. Mitchell Trubisky, the veteran, he's going to make his first start in nearly a year. Now, in his game where he just filled in for Kenny Pickett, he came in against Arizona. He was pretty decent. He was 11 of 17 for 117 yards with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. His QBR was under 20 as well, though. Now, the Steelers have been the definition this year of RTDB. That's all they do on offense. The Steelers have 856 yards rushing over their past 5 games. It's the second highest total in a 5-game span in the entire Mike Tomlin 17-year tenure as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Patriots have the 3rd-ranked rush defense in the league, though. They're only allowing 88.7 rushing yards per game, which is that's going to be a great matchup, I think. The Pittsburgh Steelers rushing offense versus the Patriots rush defense as well. And the Patriots also didn't allow the Chargers inside the 20 all game last week. So Bill Belichick, as far as a defensive mind, he is still the GOAT when it comes to defense. He's got to get the right offensive mind over there. Now, you saw with Josh Daniels, he was a product of Tom Brady, if you ask me. It was working over there in New England, but since he went to Denver, since he went to Las Vegas, he's been absolute garbage. The Patriots offense, they're just absolute trash this year. In the last 3 weeks, the Patriots red zone offense, you talked about some red zone offenses earlier. In the last 3 games, they're an NFL worst. They're scoring 16% of the time in the red zone in their last 3 games. And I just think that it's a complete miracle right now that the Pittsburgh Steelers have 7 wins right now and are looking at a playoff spot, staring them dead in their face right now. They have trailed at the half in 9 out of their 12 games this year, and they're averaging just 4.9 yards per play. For me, and I'm going to toss this to you right after I talk about this, the X factor in this game is Pat Freiermuth. He's been targeted 16 times over the last 2 games. He hasn't scored a touchdown since September 24th, which was a damn long time ago, but he did have 9 receptions for 120 yards 2 weeks ago against the Bengals, who are a pretty decent defense. And before that, he hadn't breached 3 receptions in a game all year. I think he gets into the end zone tonight. I'm favoring the Steelers in this one. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, close type of game that Mike Tomlin ultimately offensively is going to find a way to score more points in this game. I think there'll be just 1 touchdown scored in this entire game, and I think it'll come from the Steelers. I'm picking them 13-10 in this one. Make that 13-9. Sorry about that.
I'm going 37-33 Pittsburgh Steelers.
I like that. Boat race.
I hate you, man. I have 13-9 Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game. I think Zeke, between Zeke, Najee Harris, and Jalen Warren, there's like close to like 200 yards on the ground between the 3 of them.
Ooh, I don't even think Zeke got a 100-yard game this year. He might not have breached 80 this year.
No, definitely not. But no Ramondre Stevenson. Zeke's the guy today. He showed up to the stadium.
I saw that. Maybe it wasn't Ramondre. No, it wasn't Ramondre. Because Ramondre's injury looked terrible. But it was Trevor Lawrence was limited in practice today.
Bro.
Like, just got a high ankle sprain. You out there trying to throw footballs, man? That's kind of crazy.
Some of these quarterbacks, man. I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers' practice window opened up. Dude tore his Achilles. Like,
that sound effect you just made just now.
That was like, what the Achilles sounded like.
That's what his Achilles did.
That's what his Achilles
did.
Fucking beatboxing out the back of his cleat.
That's terrible. I can just imagine that. I'm just envisioning the whole play all over again in my mind right now with the Rozelle beatbox behind it.
God,
it was terrible. It's terrible.
I just had to check my DraftKings lineups because it looks like Devontae Parker's out. Listen, the Steelers are just. The Patriots offensively are just so bad. Shout out Booker and tackles with the cat.
Oh yeah, them cats, man. We haven't brought out the cat. Not too much this year. Huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be a sloppy game. I think it'll be. Watt gets 4 sacks maybe tonight. We'll give Watt 4 sacks, 200 total rushing yards between the 2 teams, and maybe even a safety Maybe we'll throw a safety in there at some
A
point.
safety in there? Dang, okay.
Safety and a 2-point conversion.
How are we going to get the 9 with the safety and the 2-point conversion is the question.
So Zeke's going to score a rushing touchdown, goal line touchdown.
Okay.
And they're going to miss the extra point.
What? Okay. Yeah, I see you plotting this right now, trying to make it make sense.
Yeah, and then so like Pittsburgh's going to score 2 to go for 2 to go up 3. And then
losing steam now.
they'll get a safety.
It's losing steam.
The math is not mathing.
The math is not
It's gonna
mathing.
probably be a whole bunch of stuff like that. So, but yeah,
They're going to challenge it, then they're going to take the 2 off the board.
Listen, the prime vision is going to be in struggle mode. To this game.
Man, I hope that these teams surprise and this could be an interesting game. Like, I normally watch all these Thursday night games in the studio, and I'm like really contemplating just like going upstairs, watching a movie, and just like putting the game on the side on my phone. But
Listen.
I'm going to watch the first quarter.
Listen, we have to give a big shout out right now.
Oh, you already know who the shout out is for one time.
Miss Golkowski is in the
Miss
building.
Golkowski in the building.
What's going on? Good to see you. Hope all is well.
Big
If
salute.
are you at Stained Glass right now? You might be at Stained Glass right now.
Oh, at the pub?
At the pub.
Getting a little greasy pizza one time. Them
little
pepperoni pizzas is
karaoke.
the greasiest pizza in the whole country.
Say
little
hi to Peter Francis for us, and we appreciate you stopping by, Miss Kokowski.
Yeah, I saw Mark and Jamie, I think, just had their
anniversary.
Their anniversary, right?
Yep. Happy anniversary to
Big
Mark
shout
and
out
Jamie.
to Mr. Kowski in the building one time. We appreciate you for, letting us do what we did back in the day at the crib. You was good. You was good. You was good. We love you for that. We love you for that. All right, so you got the Steelers. I got the Steelers as well, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. Good show, good vibes. I'm glad that it was a lengthy show. I damn near skipped the Dallas Cowboys Eagles recap. That would have been funny if you didn't catch it and we just flew right through with all the Cowboys gang in the building, man. Like, that would have been crazy.
If that would have been me, that would have been the death of me in the chat. Hey, the Bears just going to skip over the Cowboys now?
Yeah, right. And sometimes I don't be keeping my eye on the chat too heavy. We would have just breezed right on by. That would have definitely been wild. But big shout out to the gang, man. We appreciate all y'all pulling up, man. Beard, any last words so we can get them out of here for kickoff?
No, everybody enjoy the game for whatever it is. Remember, I always tell you guys, the football is something to enjoy. Enjoy it. Good luck. Don't forget, we'll be back Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the parlay. Big shout out to everybody in the chat across all the platforms, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and of course everybody right here on YouTube. We appreciate the love and the support.
The graphics department told me that they already got the graphics done for the parlay, man. So it's going to be an easy breezy rest of the week for the graphics department. Some people really think we got a graphics department, which is crazy. But big shout out to all y'all that pulled up, man. All the Giants fam in the building one time, all the Dallas Cowboys gang in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Mr. Combat Jack himself. And that's a wrap, man. Shout out to the homie Darius Smith. I see you in the building. Monique, I see you in the building. Best of luck to you. Monique, hit me up. I want to holler at you about the podcast, too. See what's popping with that. But y'all be good. Enjoy the rest of y'all week. Enjoy your Thursday night football. We're going to catch y'all on Sunday. Keep an eye out for them Bleacher Report streams coming up this week with the Giants off the bye. Finally, we will catch y'all on the next one, y'all. Peace.
Don't care.